What do you say if you and I overthrow the Republican Party? You game? Yeah, I'm serious. This whole video is about that. Infiltrating the Republican Party and turning it into a freedom-defending, freedom-restoring organization, political party again. This may be my most important yet call to action video, and make no mistake about it, it is a CTA video here in the Nutnfancy Project. I need your help to pull this off. Please watch the whole video. Now, during the video, I may say some things that will irritate you, motivate you, but relax, watch the whole video, contemplate it. If you want to comment then. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to guess 55 minutes is what I'll try to squeeze this all in. I have to lay the groundwork because I know my audience really well. Politically, I know my audience really well. I know what they think. And we do have some variety of political opinions within the Nutnfancy Project, which, to be honest with you guys, it kind of baffles me because most of the audience members are into guns, they're into knives. Let's just say they're into freedom, okay? You know, don't dick with my life, just let me be. I won't mess with you if you do that with me. Get the government out of my life. Freedom. We mostly, as an audience, have that in common, so I think you're going to like most of the things I want to say. But now's the time. And there's so many concepts I want to lay out before I get to the nuts and bolts of how this will actually happen to infiltrate the Republican Party. And the first I have to tack directly, because I know what a lot of viewers will say in my audience. And I could be wrong, but I've seen your comments for years now. And they'll go, dude, the Republican Party is dead. It's meaningless. Why waste time with it? I have a good answer for that. And anyone, I think, who knows the political process, realistically approaches the political process, will understand that establishing and making effective and valid a third party is going to be extremely difficult. I know from personal experience. I mean, I attended John Birch meetings in the 1980s as a teenager. Do you guys remember that? John Birch Society? That movement, and we'll call it, for lack of a better umbrella, we'll call it the Libertarian movement, which has so many good things about it, and honestly, some things that I personally don't agree with, like open borders. Sorry, I don't. But they have a lot of great things. But for the last, let's just say 30 or so years, maybe even longer than that, the Libertarian Party has failed to establish itself as a viable third party in the United States of America. And I'm going to read a comment from a dude I don't know, but I found it on, I don't know, some webpage that will address Ron Paul, and it may kind of illuminate this concept. We need to be realistic in the gaining of and exercising of political power. If we're on the message boards, if we're underneath a video like this one, and we're all pissed off and we're railing, and we're just creating discord and anger against usually a fellow conservative, and I want to talk about the unification problem we have, it doesn't count for anything. The only thing that counts are votes and getting political power. And I'm going to break this video down into one simple issue that I think most in the Nutnfancy Project are on board with, and that is gun rights. Or as I like to call them, self-defense rights. How do you think those are going down right now? Do you think that your self-defense rights are secure with President Obama and whoever follows him? Secure with a democratically held Senate? Secure with a rhino-held House of Representatives? No. You know, earlier last year in 2013, I made a series of call to action videos as we were fighting tooth and nail to preserve our self-defense rights with firearms. And we were successful. I think in some small way, you, the audience member here in the Nutnfancy Project, we all pulled together. We wrote a ton of letters. Yes, we went to rallies. I hope to talk about that. And we were able to turn what I felt was a huge conglomerate and well-financed mob rule, as I called it back then. I still think that's an accurate way to depict it. We were successful then. And that was a grassroots effort, and that's what we're going to talk about now. But I want to focus on that third-party system, because a lot of guys, and this is foundational to what I'm going to say thereafter, will say, oh, well, we need a third party. Well, dude, you're talking that it may never establish itself. You may feel passionately about it. The friends you hang out with online may feel passionately about it. Maybe your in-person friends. That you say, this is screwed up. The Republicans suck. The Democrats suck. We would need to do this. But the majority of American voters are not seeing it that way. Just look at the last presidential election. And I guess I might as well read this here. And this is a dude, again, I don't know who he is, but I do it to make some points. And if you guys are Ron Paul fans, and you get irritated at this, honestly, sorry. But it's going to make some points that we need to drive home why to preserve freedom in a realistic fashion. This is on a website called therightscoop.com. I linked to it from Drudge. I was in Drudge one day, and I just saw this dude's comment. He's called No One Important. I forget the date I did this, but he goes, and I'll try to read this fast. No one sabotaged Ron Paul. He's a nut job. All those caucuses, and he says in parentheses, he was supposed to dominate? Nada, nothing, zip, zilch. It wasn't some conspiracy. In parentheses, he writes, you guys seriously need to grow up, stop making excuses. Even his campaign manager said, we don't understand what happened when Ron Paul failed over and over again at the caucuses. What happened is the nation knows Ron Paul is a whack job. Again, these are his words, not mine. And the cult followers of Ron Paul spent so much time telling themselves they were going to win that they never looked outside what the rest of the nation thought of that idiot. I think he's right. If you're a Ron Paul fan, I'm sorry, but the point I agree with him there is that if you think Ron Paul was going to carry the day, he didn't. There's a reason his support never rises above 9%. It's mostly college kids, and most of us grow up when we graduate and realize what a wacko he is. All right, so he kind of, I don't know if wacko is the right name for Ron Paul, but that's his point. We all remember the stupid gig where the cult followers, and I did see this personally myself, went on the blog forums playing the, wow, I'm a Republican and I just found out about Ron Paul. He's amazing nonsense. We saw them play that game over and over and over, trying to create their own wave on the internet. I witnessed that firsthand, and it was pathetic. They never took off their cult glasses and looked at the real world, looked at how Ron Paul was perceived by everyone else. He's a nut job. The nation laughs at his nonsense. He has a couple points, and that's about it. Everyone else, he's been a hypocrite about. His words, not mine. He's also an open borders person. Better get your mind around that one. Okay, so that was no one important. Maybe you feel he's no one important either. But I think he makes some good points about how Ron Paul failed to carry the day. And the point is, if you think a third party is going to roll in and save the day, let's just say within the next 10 years, I think you're mistaken. It ain't going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would have happened since the 1980s, because when I went to those John Birch meetings and heard those people talk very passionately, all pissed off, even in Jimmy Carter days, I thought it was going to happen back then. No. Now, you can be upset over this and go, well, that's not right, but we're talking about political realities and specifically getting your dude into office and then having a support structure behind him. House of Representatives, congressional support, senatorial support, so you can start to restore what has happened. I'm not advocating that you would abandon your principles politically. What I'm advocating, honestly, and here it comes, you may be surprised I want to say this, is to put on a happy face and infiltrate the Republican Party, an existing structure that can get voted in. How's that? So if you have libertarian-leaning views and you want massive freedom, which I personally do, again, I don't go lockstep in with the Libertarian Party. There's a lot of things I don't agree upon at all that they do. Sorry, that's just the way it is. If that pisses you off, I don't care. That's my views. Don't try to change me. But you need to get your dude in power. And the way to do that is at grassroots level. And that's the whole purpose of this video. Yes, it will result in a civil war of sorts within the Republican Party. Working top down is marginally effective. Rallies are marginally effective. We all like a good rally. It stokes us. But honestly, unless the media, the mainstream media, covers a rally and they do it honestly, it's going to have a very small impact. It will energize core constituencies, which it has here in TMP, and they will make a difference. Again, going back to the gun control after Sandy Hook, that's what made the difference, is not just us, but we are part of a larger movement that really created a lot of uncomfortable situations for all the legislators, and they said, hey, this is a losing issue, we need to back off. But that's short term. You need to have your dude in office. I don't think third party is the way to do it. Now, some guys watching this video will be perhaps, upset. They're like, no, it is the way to do it. You're giving up too early. I'm not giving up early, dude. You weren't listening. I've been watching and waiting for a third party to roll in since the 1980s. Let's say 1980 even is when I was going to those John Birch meetings. I'm not joking with you either. I'm dead serious about this. So if it hasn't happened since 1980 and we don't have a viable candidate, I don't know if it's going to happen, at least with the electorate that is here now. And with the handout mentality that we have in the electorate, I think even with everything rolling our way, we're going to have our hands full winning the elections. I've said that in previous videos. We need to be realistic how we approach this, though. I cannot stress that point enough. Oh, and I will say this, is if we did have a JFK style of personality who was a libertarian or something like that, I think he would have done perhaps much better than Ron Paul. But I don't still think he would have won. No way. Not under the Libertarian banner. Another problem we need to face, and stick with me on this, is very, very important, is we need to unify under the conservative banner. Well, but nutnfancy, I don't agree with this issue. I don't agree with that issue. I can't unify with anyone. Well, welcome to President Obama. That's what happens, is you hand the nation on a silver platter when you're ununified. United we stand, divided we fall, and conservatives have fallen on their face in 2013, in 2014, and it's getting worse. A dude I've talked with prior to the production of this video, whose concepts I'm going to be drawing upon heavily, is Dan Shultz. And Dan, I apologize it's taken me so long to do this video. Better late than never. And Dan is an advocate of the process I'm going to talk about, and is the neighborhood precinct committeeman, of how you will go in to your neighborhood, and you'll become a PC. It doesn't stand for what you normally think PC does. It's precinct committeeman. And you will start directly influencing the political process in your neighborhood, and then thereby in your legislative districts and in your states. And it will be a grassroots effort, and that is how you're going to establish, in one way, long-lasting political change. And we'll talk the nuts and bolts on that here in a second, a couple minutes. Let's go back to unification and the lack thereof. We have a ton of fractional conservative groups. We've got NRA, GOA, and I'm going to draw upon one of your slides here, Dan. I hope you don't mind. He has one right here. Let's see. We got Tea Party Patriots. We've got As a Mom, Smart Girl Politics. I don't know a lot of these. 912, Sarah Pack, Patriot Action Network. This is what he says right here, and I totally agree with that, that we should all unite under one existing political party. That's the only way it's going to work. And that party will be the Republican Party. Again, if you have big issues with the Republican Party, raise your hand. I'm in that group. But wait a minute, Nutton, you liked Romney. I never liked Romney. What I said is Romney would be better than Obama, and I will stand by everything I said in those videos. If you don't believe me, go rewatch my videos and what I said. He sucked. He was a country club Republican rhino. Slightly better than Obama. Maybe even more than slightly, after we've seen everything. Benghazi, healthcare, redistribution of wealth, amnesty, attack on gun ownership. And dude, he's in his first year of his second term, President Obama. And he has support of all the media, support of a large percentage of the populace, and the support of mostly the Congress, and definitely the Supreme Court. Witness healthcare. What are Tea Party people, by the way? You might ask yourself that. Do you ever hear that term and you really don't know what that stands for? Well, I don't know if I'm the expert, but I think it's just a true constitutional conservative. Usually within the Republican Party, from what I gather. Some may belong to the Libertarian Party or some other parties, but they are constitutional conservatives, and that's what I am. Mostly. I mean, there's some variances, but generally I could classify myself as that. You need to put aside all the issues that are, I shouldn't say all, but some of those hot button issues that, I don't know, whatever party's not doing it for you, and unite under one banner, and that has to be within your precinct, in your own neighborhood. That's how it's going to affect change. And people who are just on the internet, you know, they're just, again, railing on people, getting all pissed off. They don't vote. They don't participate in the political process. They haven't responded to my CTA videos and written letters. They're just there bitching. They're bitching about how bad it is, and they can't wait till the balloon goes up. We're headed for civil war. There's economic collapse. WRL's coming, and yada, yada, yada. All this bad stuff is going. And these guys are the ones in the lifeboat. While you and I are doing the work. I don't respect guys like that. So if you're one of those guys, I don't respect you. At all. Because you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. But I couldn't get behind any candidate. Okay. We've already gone over that. I'm not going to hit that again. I will jump off that, though. If you couldn't get behind any candidate in the election of 2012, then, dude, get in a candidate you can get behind, that you are excited about. And there are people out there, and by the way, I think it might just be you watching this video. What? Yeah, you. Why don't you run for office? Yeah, I'm serious. You run for office. You watching this video. Put your money where your mouth is. You believe these things strongly. Why not? Well, I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. Well, you know, there's other ways you can participate in the political process, but we need to recruit people now. Now. And the first thing you need to do is become a neighborhood precinct committeeman. You have to do that. And then from there, you might launch your political career. The best way to do it is to overthrow, maybe that's not the best word, infiltrate the Republican Party and restore it to what it used to stand for. I don't know about you, but I was pretty happy in the 80s with the way things worked under President Reagan. Oh, President Reagan was this, President Reagan was that. Dude, if you start doing that, I want to tune you out because I love the guy. Oh, but he did this, he increased costs. Dude, no one's perfect. And that's what therein lies a problem with a lot of people on the internet, is they're like, well, I didn't find my perfect candidate. I was like, when's the last time you voted? 1991. You're part of the problem, dude. See ya. I got no time for people like you. You're the reason why we're fighting for our gun rights. And you're the reason why our gun rights are going to be lost, is because of people like you. You're watching the Nutnfancy Project. I'm shooting straight with you guys. I'm not pulling punches. And by the way, if I was running for office, like you're going to run for office, I hope, I would talk exactly the way I'm talking now. Do not mince words. Don't hold back. Speak honestly, truthfully, and take the flack. And you're going to get a lot of flack. Like a flamethrower. They're going to do everything they can to politically destroy you, destroy your family. Hang tough, because what you're going to do is motivate millions of people to come out and vote for you, assuming you get to that upper echelon of political office. Why don't you run? Dude, I'm unelectable. I speak too honestly, and I don't want the freaking job anyhow. My job is to motivate you to run. So we need to unify, put aside petty differences, and come together. The Democrats do it. They do it very well. It's like they're lockstep together. They don't criticize each other. And don't kid yourself, there's a lot of differences philosophically within the Democratic Party. I mean, we're too far left, we're too far right, and yet you don't see those breaches of unity in public very often. Once in a while you do, but Nothing like the conservative movement. You know, Dan has a graphic here, and this is basically what it is. Like, this is where we are right here. Well, he's showing the vacancies in the precinct committeeman. You know, they're all over the place. It's like they're fractionalized. So the things we've talked about so far, I hope you're still with me, because if you care about this country, you should still be with me, is the Republican Party is the answer short term. Now, perhaps long term, and I'm talking really long term, 50 years, maybe a third party is the answer. And we can start bringing that up. But ask yourself this, going back to the self-defense rights. Will you be happy, will you be happy if you lose your right to own that AR-15 and they do door-to-door confiscations within 10 years? Will it really matter if a third party comes into play later on, when things are so far gone they cannot really be restored through the political process? I've talked about this on camera. It's much easier to do it now. Peaceful political process. Time isn't on your side because we are losing the battle huge right now. And only votes matter. That's it. I think everyone should come out from the shadows. I wanted to do some KRVs tonight, but I was like, you know what? I got to come out from the shadows myself, put myself in front of the camera, and speak passionately about this country and preserving it. You think I like being in front of the camera talking this? I don't. I'd prefer to be doing something else. But it's going to be my contribution to the fight, and I can motivate a lot of people, thousands, through the nutnfancy project. Let's talk about NPCs. I'm going to call them NPCs, Neighborhood Precinct Committeemen. This is how we're going to overthrow the Republican Party. Right now, you live in a neighborhood precinct. If you look on your voter registration card, what? You don't have a voter registration card? Okay. Dude, you might be one of the guys I was talking about earlier. You should be voting. Look on your voter registration card. Those of you who have voted, thank you very much. And you are in a precinct. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not the expert on this. I might get some details wrong. Sorry. Those are organized into legislative districts. Within your precinct, and I'll try to keep this very simple and understandable, there are precinct committeemen, like I've said, and they are elected to office, and they have a tremendous influence on the politics of that state overall. It is a volunteer position. And if you remember nothing from this video, nothing at all, become an NPC, Neighborhood Precinct Committeeman. You don't have to remember how it's the process to do it, what the duties are. You don't have to remember anything. Just march out the door tomorrow morning and go, I'm going to become a Neighborhood Precinct Committeeman. Find your precinct, find the person in charge, go, dude, I'm going to start coming to the meetings. I mean, you don't just charge in there and say, hey, I'm going to take over this place. You don't want to do that. But start attending and finding out what the layout of the land is in your area, in your state. Get to know people. Most of the NPC positions are vacant. I shouldn't say most, but according to Dan Shultz, he says about half of them throughout many states are vacant. And they have a tremendous influence, once again, on not just local politics, but state politics. And an example I'm going to show you on this is, we'll talk about what NPCs do in here in a minute, so hang with me, is what happened to Senator Bob Bennett in Utah. I think I have it stapled here. He was thrown out of office, or actually he failed to win the primary because of what happened in the precincts. And I'll read just a portion of this. Let's see. Senator Bob Bennett would enjoy the privilege of a chance to be elected on the primary or general election ballot, blah, blah, blah. It's been reported by the press that one of the Utah Republican Party nominating convention delegates at about 75,000 registered Republicans bothered to attend the party caucuses to elect the nominating convention delegates. It was these registered Republicans who bothered to go to caucus, not bloggers, not political pundits, not other registered Utah Republican voters who didn't show up, but it was these participants who set the wheels in motion to get rid of Bob Bennett. And if you don't know, he was a Republican senator, and he did some things that I really liked, but overall, he wasn't a true conservative. He wasn't a Ted Cruz. He was not a Mike Lee. So these guys activated. They're doing exactly what we're asking you to do, and became politically active. The Utah version of the neighborhood precinct committeeman strategy decided the outcome. And in the end, only 2101 registered Republicans, that is about 2,000, who by going to their local caucus had the privilege to attend the nominating convention. So who's going to go to primary in the general election to become our senator? It happens there in the nominating convention. And followed through by actually attending made the difference. Bravo to those conservatives who were among the 75,000 who got involved. Bravo to the grassroots conservatives in Utah who figured out where the real political power is inside the Republican Party. Bravo to the rest of you conservative Republican precinct committeemen around the country. And I would love to give, this is a Cold Warrior precinct committeeman project, so I'd love to give full credit to whoever wrote this. But so you're going to infiltrate your precinct. Once you get to know people, they end up liking you, you're probably going to see a leadership position come up within that precinct, and you're going to go for it. Okay, and you might be asking yourself, and I told you I'd cover this, what does a PC do, a precinct committeeman? Well, I hope I get the facts right, because I'm not one, nor have I done it, but I have studied the process a little bit. You'll elect the leaders of your political party within your state. So you have a voice in that. That is a very important thing because it determines the trend your state's going to take. Number two, only PCs get to elect those who go to who gets into the primary, just like what I just read you. Oh, and by the way, Bob Bennett was overthrown. Who took his position? Thank you, Mike Lee. And that's a good time to interject this, is Mike Lee is an outstanding senator. And so to some libertarians who are pissed off, they go, well, I hate all Republicans. Do you hate Mike Lee? Do you hate Ted Cruz? Well, yeah, I do. And they find something to nitpick those guys on. Stop listening to people like that. They're about as good as you can get, says I. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're not going to find every representative that's going to, march lockstep with what you believe. For instance, if I was elected, I'd probably do some things you go, why is nutnfancy doing that? I can't believe he's doing that. Oh, but he's on the gun issue. He's very consistent on the gun issue. Everybody's like that. I say Ted Cruz and Mike Lee are total wins for the true constitutional conservative movement. And anybody who says otherwise, a conservative at least, I mean, liberals hate the guy. Progressives hate the guy. Protectionists hate him. Communists hate him. I think they're smoking weed, dude. And the rate you're getting through that weed, you need to move to Colorado. Buy it legally. So Mike Lee came into power because of those grassroots precincts that they went and nominated. They kicked Bennett out. They're like, no, you're not winning the nomination. You are not going to general election. This guy is. Well, who's Mike Lee? Well, who cares? He's an awesome conservative, and he's going to general election, and he won. Yes. That is political power. That is restoring and preserving the Constitution in large measure. But the problem is, those two dudes, there's a couple senators that are also good, they're way outgunned. Can you imagine what our nation would look like and the direction it'd be going if we had like 30 Mike Lees, 30 Ted Cruzes who would stick to their guns? They don't care what the media says about them. They don't care the hate mail they get. They're going to stick to their constitutional principles. Those are the politicians we're going to elect through this process. Number 3, precinct committeemen nominate replacements of state legislatures. So if someone goes vacant, you have a say on who fills that seat. By doing so, that person becomes, I guess, a state senator, assemblyman, representative, and they can launch from that position into a higher public office. Number 4, they deliver the votes from their precinct. And that is when your key jobs as a NPC, neighborhood precinct committeeman, that you're going to get out the vote. So let's go back to this example. Bob Bennett in Utah that year lost the election. I should say he lost a primary. Mike Lee was the Republican nominee. He won the primary thanks to the people, those 75,000 people that made the difference. Now you got to get out the general election vote because he's just on the ballot, but maybe he's running against a very strongly supported and well-funded Democratic candidate or from what other party. Your job as a PC is to go within your neighborhood precinct, maybe go knocking door to door, and with kindness and professionalism, you do your best to encourage that individual to vote for that person. It's a lot of work. It's grassroots. Get out the vote. Do you care about the Constitution? Do you care about this country? Then you should be up to do that. Get out the vote. And don't kid yourself. The PCs have a lot of influence over how their districts, or their division, I should call them precincts, vote. And they're courted, from my understanding, heavily by all in-state politicians. They will go to your precinct, they'll schmooze with you, they want to know who you are, they know you have a say on whether they even make it to general ballot. And then if you become, I forget what you call it, like a leader in your PC, in your precinct, you have even more say, more political influence, and they're going to do everything they can to win your support. Grassroots activism is how we will take this country back. It's not going to be top down. It's not going to be from rallies. It's not going to be from bitching on the internet. That is meaningless in the big scheme of things. All of those things are really meaningless in the big scheme of things. Unless you get political power, which you can exercise, it don't mean crap. It doesn't. What's the time commitment to be a precinct committeeman, nutnfancy? Well, I'm not the expert. It is a volunteer position. There are monthly meetings that you should attend, and you should be a good NPC. Hey, nutnfancy, the NPC, where's he been? We've had 4 meetings. He's never shown up. Is that a good precinct committeeman? No, he's a douche. Don't sign up. I mean, it's what I've talked about in my, workers are few video. I'm going to be a PC. I'm going to be the best PC I can. You will establish a reputation within your precinct of other PCs that go, that guy's solid. That dude right there, that Joe guy, he's a good dude, man. And we have an opening right here. Let's let him fill that because he's helped us get out the vote. He did mailers. He's done phone calling for us. He's awesome. And lo and behold, you rise up within your local political party. That's how it works. And you may go to your precinct and find all your positions filled. Be patient. Keep going to the meetings. Something's going to open sooner or later, and guess who's going to get the job? You are. And thus begins your political career. If you want one. But you don't have to rise up. I mean, I know I said, hey, you need to run for office, but you could just stay a precinct committeeman your whole life, that you're exercising and influencing the political process within your state, which influences the entire nation. Can you imagine if all the Republican precincts operated this way? That within those precincts you have these solid constitutional conservatives that are electing the Mike Lees, the Ted Cruzes to office. And so the general populace, when they come to the general election, all they have to choose from is a true constitutional conservative. So these people will win their fair share of elections, and it will not happen overnight, but little by little, you're going to get rid of all the rhinos, Republicans in name only. And that's what you need to understand. This is not an overnight process. This is a multi-year process. I would say probably about 10 years. If we started this right here, right now, consistently worked at it, and you sent people to watch this video, to watch Dan's videos, and I'll have those in the sidebar, by the way, and all his helpers, watch all those videos. That's the way we can take the country back. One way. Mark Levin's talking about the Constitutional Convention, or State Convention, sorry. That might be another way, and I'm still researching that, but I'm pretty sure this one would work. So as a volunteer, how much time? Well, monthly meetings. There you're going to meet the candidates. Again, they're going to court your support big time. They need you to win the primary. Each state is different, by the way. So you need to research your state. So Colorado's different from Utah. New Mexico's different. New Hampshire's going to have different rules for their precincts. How do they work? How many people participate? How do their chairs work? I don't know. You find out. That's your job, dude. You'll find out. Just show up. And you're going to get out the vote. Most, to repeat, of the conservative precinct slots are vacant. Democrats, from my understanding, which again is imperfect, not so much. So the progressives have this figured out way more than we do. They have their precincts running like well-oiled machines, churning out all these leftists. Obviously, you can't refute that because look who's winning the general elections. By and large, really leftist Democrats. Now, there were some good Democrats, and there's some that over the years I've said, that guy's a good guy. I mean, I don't agree with him on everything, but overall, there's been some big gun rights Democrats have been very consistent voting-wise on the gun issue. Most of those have gone. Go back and watch my videos in early 2013 when we were up against the wall trying to influence these Democratic senators to shoot down the assault weapons ban. Do you remember how that felt? That your future is in the hands of a senator like Al Franken? And I remember reading a TMPer comment, he's like, this guy's not going to help us out at all. And guess what? You were right. Al Franken came to office because of how the Democratic precincts work, which again is effective. The problem is the conservative ones, the Republican ones, are broken in a lot of states. Not all of them. Utah obviously has their act together. Maybe your state does too. But it starts at grassroots. It starts in the precinct. It starts with you becoming a precinct committeeman. Commit. Just start showing up. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I want to participate in what's going on. They're probably going to be stoked to see you. Maybe they won't be stoked to see you. I don't know. But I suspect they will be. And then start participating. Hey, what can I do to help out, man? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. We're trying to get this dude on the general election ballot, and you need help. Get out the vote, man. Cool, I can give you a day this week. I can give you 2 days this week. I have some buddies that will help me. I'll go door knocking there. That's how local elections are run, and that is the political process. It's work, it takes time, it takes effort, but do you love this country? I do. That's why I'm making this video. I love you guys too, even ones who don't totally agree with all this, because there's variances, right? Amongst conservatives, hey, I'm more conservative, I'm less conservative. You got to put the petty crap aside, dude. If we remain fractionalized, this country is lost. We have no hope whatsoever. And all those dire predictions that you're predicting will come true. And you'll look back and go, wow, man, I could have won with no blood at all. I think I have this on my laptop. Let me see if I can find it. That quote by Winston Churchill. Oh, here it is. If you will not fight for right when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory is sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all odds against you, and only a precarious chance of survival. There may even be a worse case. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory because it is better to perish than to live as slaves. My information attributes that quote to Winston Churchill. That's what we're talking about. It's time now to use a political process by you becoming a precinct committeeman. And then from there, as you rise up in the ranks in your local precinct, maybe you decide, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to become a state senator, a state representative. I'm going to run for Senate in my state. And unlike all these other crap politicians we see, I'm going to stand my ground. And I expect to get hate for it. I expect to get attacked for it. I expect millions of dollars from the Democrat Party to roll in state to try to defeat me. I'm going to stick to my guns. And let me again make you this promise. If you do that, if you stick to your guns, if you speak not like a politician, but like an average Joe, which I'm basically doing on this video. Do you see me reading anything other than a few quotes? No. Right here, dude. From the heart. That's how you need to speak. From the heart. That's what influences people. That's what motivates people. They will look at you, listen to you speak, and go, I like that guy. I like what he's saying. He's real. I've been waiting for someone like that guy. I haven't seen it forever. John McCain? Never saw it in him. Romney? Never saw it in him. That guy, I'm seeing it. And that's what motivates people. and they're going to get out the vote for you. These non-voters will be motivated for you, and they're going to say, finally, a good candidate. And where did that candidate come from? From the precincts. Just like Mike Lee. From people like you that are going to make it happen on a local grassroots level. So, the model is laid before you, and it obviously works. Obviously works. We need a lot more senators like that. We need a lot more representatives like that. And there's some great representatives who I haven't talked about. Chaffetz would be another example. Oh, also from Utah. I guess Utah's political process is pretty squared away from what I'm seeing, on the conservative side at least. Please do this. It could mean the difference between us losing, going back to that singular, very important issue, our self-defense rights with weapons that are currently legal. Never mind healthcare. Never mind, again, amnesty and all these other jacked up things that are happening. NSA spying, phone tapping, checkpoints on roads. Loss of freedom in the United States of America, where we become, I've said it before, I'll say it again, a communist-like country with an all-powerful centralized government who dictates what you do, where you go, what you say, what activities you can do, because now it's falling under the healthcare banner. You can't do this activity, you can't do that, you can't own guns, because now it's a safety issue, a personal health issue. That's where we, frankly, we're kind of there right now. We need people, strong-willed, well-spoken, good people to stand up and change the direction. And we need a civil war within the Republican Party. For lack of a better term, that's what we're talking about. To infiltrate the Republican Party. It'd be great if you had a viable third party, but maybe not so much. Have you thought about the reality? Let's say we have a really strong Libertarian Party. We have a really strong Libertarian candidate. It will split the vote. But that's a cop-out. No, it isn't. It's political reality. Because, again, you represent a very small subset, probably on the internet, who feels this way. But you have millions and millions and millions of other people who will actually determine the election, not you. And so in this candidate from the Libertarian Party, or let's just say whatever party emerges, and he's really good, and this one from the Republican Party emerges, and he's really good, who's going to win the election? The Democrat. That's not debatable. It's happened. The only thing I can... can't speak. The only thing I can think of that would change that is a Great Depression. That we go down and people go, you know, this whole socialism thing, this whole strong government thing is not working. Time for new ideas, and out emerges a strong political party that has the right ideas, and that is maximum personal freedom, maximum economic freedom. That's what I believe. I wish you the best of success in becoming an NPC, Neighborhood Precinct Committeeman. Credit goes out to Dan Shultz, his work on this issue. He has a book out there on it. Look it up. I'll have as much information as I can cram into the sidebar. Do it. Do it today. Thank you for serving the United States of America. The war is not over yet. CTA from the Nutnfancy Project. And only 44 minutes? You guys got off easy. See ya.